In this video, we're going to take a look at even and odd functions. How do you algebraically tell if a function is even or odd or neither? Now, up here in the corner, I've got a couple rules written down. This is your rule for even functions. F of negative x has to equal f of x. And then for odd functions, f of negative x has to equal negative f of x. All right, now I have highlighted two parts, all right, because the way I do this, I always have my students test for even first. And if that's the case, then you only have to memorize this portion of the definition of even functions. And for odd functions, you only have to memorize this. And it's because the way we go about doing this. All right, so we always test for even first. All right, so I'm going to test for even. I'm going to follow just this part of my even definition. I'm going to take a negative x and plug it into this function. So I'm going to have f of negative x is equal to, every place that there's an x, I'm going to put in a negative x. So I'll have a negative x, and then square root of 1 minus, plugging in a negative x, and then squaring it. So now I'm just going to go through the algebra steps to simplify this. Up here in front, nothing happens, negative x. Negative x to the second power, the coefficient in front is a negative 1. Negative 1 squared is a positive 1. X is squared. This sign in front doesn't change. So this becomes a 1 minus an x squared. Now, when we get to that part right there, then according to the formula, we're supposed to check to see if it equals the original function. So then, does this match the original function? All right, that's the question. Does it match? All right, and in this case, the answer is no. So that means this function is not an even function. So now I'm going to test for odd. So we'll test for odd right underneath that. All right, now the reason I say you only have to memorize the second part is because you've already done the first part of this formula. You have taken negative x and plugged it into the function when we were testing for even. So really, you just have to memorize this part. Now I'm going to take a negative and multiply it by my function. So negative f of x is going to be basically a negative 1 times x square root of 1 minus x squared. All right, well, a positive times a negative makes the overall quantity negative. So then I'm going to have a negative, and I didn't write down, oh yeah, I did write it down right. Negative x square root of 1 minus x squared. Okay, so now I'm simplified there. I'm going to take this, I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to say, okay, does it match the f of negative x? Does it match my previous answer? Does it match? And then the answer is yes. So now I can conclude then that this function is odd. All right. If you get a no when you test for even and you get a no when you test for odd, then it's neither. If you test for even and you get a yes right away, you're done. It's an even function. So this one, we tested for even, answer was no. So that meant we had to go ahead, test for odd. We got a yes, so it's an odd function. All right, now let's look at our second example over here. It's a polynomial curve. I'm going to start with the test for even first. All right, so even says we take a negative x and plug it into the function. So f of negative x, plugging that in, a negative x, raised to the second power, minus plugging in another negative x, and then plus 1. When I square the negative 1 in front, it becomes positive. When I take the x and square it, it's an x squared. So this is a x squared. Minus a negative becomes a plus x. And then I've got the plus 1 on the end. So then we take this, according to our formula, compare it to our original function, and ask ourselves, does it match? And on this one, the answer is no, because right there, the signs don't match. So that means now I've got to go ahead and test for odd. So I'm going to test for odd. But knowing that I've already done this part of the formula, then I just have to remember this. So I'm going to take a negative and multiply it by my function. So negative f of x. I'm going to take a negative 1, multiply it by that original function, x squared minus x plus 1. Doing that basically is going to go through and change my signs. So I'll have a negative x squared, and then a positive x, and then a minus 1. So once we get to that step, then we want to know, does that match our previous answer? Does it match what we got when we plugged in the negative? Okay, so again, does it match? And this time, the answer is no. That one's positive, this one's negative. Signs don't match there on the end either. So I got 2 no's on this one. So we know it's not even, it's not odd. So then you would write down neither. The function is neither even nor odd. So a pretty simple, straightforward approach. All right. If you are only going to memorize these 2 portions of these definitions, then you must test for even first and then test for odd second. And it's just a repeat, simplify it algebraically, ask yourself if it matches your previous function that you have calculated. So definitely thanks for watching. If the videos are helping, please share with your friends so they can benefit too. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks.